Okay, my friends, I promised when I did the last video with Mark Henry that we were going to also cover O.D. Wilson. And there's a panel of Mark, just as we'll do like a sort of comparison with these lifting legend panels with him. Although it's kind of like apples and oranges because they're two totally different kind of athletes other than their similar size, even though O.D. at his biggest was even bigger than Mark Henry. He was 430, 440, like when training for powerlifting, but before cutting down for finally ending up powerlifting weight was like 400, which was similar to Mark Henry. So we'll show some pictures from World's Strongest Man and from his powerlifting career. And we do have an interview actually with his trainer at the time from Powerlifting USA. Again, one of my favorite magazines. I don't always like to post the wiki stuff because sometimes some of it turns out to be BS, but I think at least most of this stuff is legit. One of the differences between OD and Mark, I think OD had a better physique. And I suspect, I have no proof one way or the other about his drug status, but I suspect that he did use, and I don't think that Mark did. Did that have anything to do with his early demise? I don't know. It could, he could have a family history of heart issues, and just anybody that big is at risk of a heart attack, unfortunately. So here we're going to get into the powerlifting article. And again, this interview is actually being done by his trainer at the time. There you see. And again, of course, yeah, he has the gut, but he has massive chest, traps, arms, and his legs were just insane. It's reported to have been like 42 inches. But he got started much later than Mark. Mark was a high school powerlifter. OD didn't really get into powerlifting until he went into the Army. And he was in the Army for 12 years. And he'll describe this as we get through the article. So he was 280 when he got started. And again, he had been in the Army doing a lot of aerobics. That's why he was that light. Again, we're going to feed in some of the World's Strongest Man stuff. Some say he was the strongest guy not to win the World's Strongest Man. We did come in second that first year that he did it. And he was doing very well up until the end, and the last event was more of a endurance type event, and that killed him. So he ended up only placing second in that year. Then he came back again, and unfortunately he had an injury, so he only came in fifth in his next one. Here he's again talking about where he started training, Fort Bragg, and he trained with some really awesome powerlifters, and he'll mention Gene Bell, which I've done a video on Gene Bell and his son, Osby Alexander, Steve Goggins. He's another guy. I got to do a video on him. He's just a fantastic lifter. Dave Padaway and another guy, too, that he mentions. And really just a huge, massive guy. And he seemed like he had, as he mentioned, they ask him what his other things that he does. He does a lot of community work, working with orphanages and schools. He likes hanging out with young people, trying to be an example to them and a role model. And even for a big guy as he is, he played racquetball, basketball, and swam, which is interesting. So kind of athletic along the same lines as Mark Henry was. And he gets into talking about his nutrition and supplementation. And I'm sure that his trainer was leading him in this because his trainer came up with his nutrition and supplement plan. Another shot from the world's strongest man. You see his arms are just humongous. And he talks about needing a lot of rest, and really everybody does. And he said he must have 8 hours of sleep, and then at least 2 hours of rest after a workout, which is interesting. There he is doing the barrel carry at the world's strongest man. So he wasn't totally lacking in endurance, because, a lot of those world's strongest man events do include that. He was looking to do the world record breakers meet in Hawaii. There he is with his trainer and a couple partners, or a partner. Also another huge dude that was a big squatter, big deadlifter. And he's asking him about whether he feels like he's improved since working with this guy, and he says, yeah. And I guess that's early on when he was really massive there. That's probably when he was weighing like 430 or 440. Unfortunately, unbeknownst to all of us, when this article was out, we didn't know that he was only going to live a couple more years. And I didn't realize this. He talks about having been a battered child and was in really bad shape, was in the hospital for 9 months, and the doctors told him about all the things he was never going to be able to do, let alone be, almost the world's strongest man and a world-class powerlifter. So he overcame that, and he does give a little thumbs up to the Lord there, which I like. He's talking about his training partners here and how, your training partners will help you on some days when you're maybe not quite feeling up to it. They help to push you. And I've definitely experienced that myself with my old powerlifting team. It's good to have partners. And I've had different partners over the years, I should say. Here he's talking about some of the guys he looks up to. And how he got the name Nightmare. And he's talking about that he used to do like a town watch thing, and at one point he was like kind of standing in the dark with a hat on and just, standing in the shadows, and some lady friend of his said, "Oh my God, you look like a nightmare." So he kind of liked the name, and it stuck with him after that. So we do have a routine, unlike I couldn't get one for Mark Henry, but here's his back routine. And as he said, it's he only does 5 exercises, so it's not tons of volume, but it obviously goes really heavy, including doing shrugs with 600 pounds, which is for 10 reps, which is pretty crazy. And there he is throwing up some dumbbells, and we'll finish off with a few more pictures from his world's strongest man stuff. It's very unfortunate that we lost him early. He was only 37 when he passed. There he is again. You can see just how big his arms are there. And talks about his shoe size and his ring size being insane, much like Mark Henry. There he is pulling a car. You see the size of his back. His back was gigantous. There he is doing loaded carry with a Volkswagen, which is pretty crazy. So, and there he is in a kilt, which is interesting, seeing a guy that big in a kilt. But, of course, he did win that competition in that phase of the world's strongest man. There he is. Doing an interview, and that's going to be about it for OD. I am going to cover soon Mike Hall, who is another big guy. I may do something in between, or I may go straight to that. I'm not sure yet. But thanks for watching, and I am out, my friends.